This is getting messy. Hello, Steve White, Trickboy89 for Steve Arts 89. So recently, we had another announcement in a long line of announcements for another Star Trek film, and it was about the Origins film. And they mentioned they had picked a writer and director, and it was in development, which development means they've talked about doing a film. It's not the same as in production. In production means a studio has actually said, we'll pay for the film, here's the money for all the different departments, go put the film together. That's a green light and a budget, and that's production. Development just means they may have sat in a room and said, why don't we do a film about the origins of Star Trek set before Strange New Worlds? And the other person says, that's great, that's in development. That's how basic that is, and how easily that term is misused to make people think something's in production when it's not. But yeah, apparently Simon Kinsberg is apparently going to produce it. He just produced Deadpool and Wolverine. So they got writer, director, and producer, and it was like, okay, I wasn't paying much attention, but just, I think last week, they announced that there's going to be a new Star Wars trilogy. I think is it the Rey trilogy? They're doing another one where she's now the Obi-Wan character for the next generation of Star Wars fans. Like, it's been 20 years since Force Awakens, which it hasn't. And people are like, just wait a minute, how can he produce the next Star Trek film and produce the next Disney trilogy? Well, there's two ways this could go. One, it gets cancelled like most of the Star Wars projects that have been announced in the last 10 years or so. Or he's doing it, but it's so far in the future that he would have time to do the Star Trek film. Because if it does get a green light towards the end of this year, like they're talking about, it'll go in production for the first half of next year and be in the cinemas by 2026, which is what they want. They want a 50th anniversary film is what they want, because Beyond in 2016 was supposed to be the 50th anniversary film, but because the studios were conflicting, they wouldn't promote the two. The CBS wouldn't promote the new Star Trek film as part of the 50th anniversary, and the new film didn't acknowledge the 50th anniversary, so it just was a disaster. This time, because they're combined, they could actually do a 60th anniversary film and promote it and do tie-ins and things, so it could actually, be marketable. But so people are like, how can this happen? How can he be doing this? It's like, well, it looks like his Paramount commitments to this film would come first, and the Star Wars trilogy is far, far away, and so he could manage both. I mean, he's pretty busy though. Apparently he's doing a remake of Logan's Run and The Running Man. Of course this and Star Wars and he's just done Deadpool, and I mean, God, he managed to get Madonna to give them Like a Prayer, so I guess the guy has some skill. So, I just don't know. Now, who is the writer and director of this new project? Because he does all three, but he's not. Toby Haynes is directing, and Stephen Graham Smith is a screenwriter, and Kinsberg is attached to produce along with J.J. Abrams. So it's getting kind of, the whole thing is getting kind of messy. What's happening with Star Trek? What's happening with Star Wars? And also the other issue with the Origins movie is it's supposed to be an intended origin story for the main timeline of Star Trek, rather than the alternative timeline that's in the 2009 Star Trek. Well, they're forgetting there's like 3 or 4 timelines now. Well, I mean, there's like 3 universes or 4 there's multiple. It's a multiverse at this point, and there's different timelines in the same universes. So it's just a mess. There's the Prime timeline, which is JJ before there's the Prime universe, which is the JJ universe before the timeline with the Kelvin incident, and then there's the post-Kelvin incident timeline. So there's that universe with 2 timelines. Then there's the original canon Prime universe, which we haven't seen since 2005, and then you've got the Discovery universe, which is actually, is it a different universe, or is it just a timeline from the JJ one, or they're suggesting it's a different timeline from the original canon universe, but it's not the original canon universe because too many things that don't work. And there's also then There's the sort of rebooted Picard. It's just too convoluted at this point to really explain it all. But Picard season 1 and 2 are not the same universe as Picard season 3. And there's a bunch of examples of things that changed between the two seasons that they tried to sort of just, not sort of draw attention to. But it's either a different timeline within that universe, or it's a different universe and they just sort of did that, sort of behind the studio's backs and hope. Yeah, it's a mess at this point. So I don't know where this film's going to lay. They're probably going to try and sell it as Prime Universe because they seem to think that people won't accept it if it's not, even if it isn't, but they just try and sell it as it is because some people will buy that. Or they might actually try and get back to that and then relaunch that. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's a mess. And, when I see it, I'll believe it, basically. And I think most Star Trek fans are feeling that way about the whole Star Trek film franchise at this point.